Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, plus a third, is Frank and Vactor from This Comic Cooks. How are you today, gentlemen?
It's a great day to talk to my friends. I'm recovering from a little bit of an infection, but I can't wait to talk Batman with these two.
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be talking about the Bat with the both of you.
Excellent. I am as well. I'm so excited that I am wearing my Batman Cape Crusader t-shirt that I got, get this, at DC Fandom.
Nice.
It's almost like a weird relic from the past already.
Yes, it
Like,
really is.
Isn't that so strange? But yeah, I've been pumped for this show since they announced it.
Yeah.
So I am super jazzed to talk about it with you fine gentlemen. We are here to talk Batman the Cape Crusader, the show made by Warner Brothers, farmed out, licensed out to Amazon Prime, because I don't care what people say. That was a smart move on David Zaslav's part. People are like, he's stupid. He didn't put it on his own streaming service. I'm like, no, he made money. He's very
Right.
he made the good move.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
it's the TV model, right? Like studios make stuff to sell to other networks all the time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like Lionsgate doesn't have their own streaming service, so they're like,
Sure.
oh, you're stupid for having it. John Wick be in a movie theater.
Right.
No.
But also, like, Warner Brothers, Friends is Warner Brothers, but it aired on NBC. Do you know what I mean? Like, they sell stuff to other networks all the time, even when they have their own network. Sometimes their network doesn't want what their studio made.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So it's out. We've watched all 10 episodes, and so we'll do a round of what'd you think, and then we'll go into spoilers and things to talk about and blah blah blah. Factor, what'd you think?
Overall, I'm very much more satisfied at the end than I was at the beginning. And the reason, I'll tell you why, the ending of it, I found out that they were going to be continuing to a season 2. And I said, oh, okay, this is not if I had to judge this just off of these 10 episodes, I think I would be more disappointed. I felt the same way. I think we had this talk on another podcast about Ahsoka. As I was watching it, I was like, oh man, if they can just continue this story, this is kind of a bad place to leave it. This is the same thing that happened here. I was like, this is where you're going to end it. This is where the quote unquote cliffhanger is going to be. And now that I know that there's more, I feel confident. I have less anxiety, and I'm like, okay, the storytelling is good. The team that they have is good. As long as everything continues, they don't change it up. It's similar to X-Men 97. I'm like, man, if they're going to just continue this, it's going to be great the next season. So I'm feeling a lot better than I was. But I'll tell you, as I was watching it, I was like, this is good, but does it justify its existence? Because Batman the Animated Series, to me, was so groundbreaking. I said, what does this add to that, right? Like, what does this show? What is the reason why this one exists? I can say Brave and the Bold, right? Like, that's okay. This
Mhm.
is something completely different from Batman the Animated Series. It justifies its existence. It's a great entry into the Batman canon. So when I was watching this, I was like, man, it's good, but it's not groundbreaking. It's not.
I think I can
Where's
actually challenge you. I think I can challenge you on that. I think I
okay?
can actually give you what it does add, because I
Okay,
had the
perfect.
same feeling after the first episode. I was like, all right, yeah, if the rest of it's like that, I mean, I'll watch it, but I'm not like pumped. But by the end, I was like, oh no, this is good. I like this. But I think you're right in that this Batman the Animated Series was groundbreaking. If you watch cartoons in the same era, you know that it's just kind of leaps ahead of what everybody else was doing, especially superhero cartoons at the time.
Right.
Iron Man, Fantastic Four, like all those other shows that were out there. X-Men and Spider-Man came a little bit after, so so they gotta kind of get the reap the benefits of what Batman was doing. This show, I think, actually gives you consequences. It's giving you a Batman cartoon with consequences that other shows are not allowed to do. Like,
Right.
if
Right.
you knew that, say, Two-Face is going to be, or the Joker or Penguin is going to be defeated in one episode, you know they're going to be back, right?
Right. Right.
This
Yep.
show, some of them are not coming back, like
Mhm,
pretty
mhm.
definitively, and like they're telling it's episodic. It's old school TV. It's episodic, but there's a one story arc continue. One thread that runs through the whole thing, and that that thread, which is not new to animation
Mm.
or cartoons or superhero comics or whatever cartoons, but I think that the consequences of characters' actions and them sticking with them and like characters not returning or whatever,
Mhm.
I think that's new. Um,
Mm, mm.
for Batman, I should say,
Right. Yes.
pretty distinctly for Batman. And so I'm here for that reason. And it didn't get to me to that point until episode 10, where I was like, oh, I see. Well, maybe a couple before then, maybe well, I don't want to touch spoilers, but
Sure.
let's say so. Frank, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it like all the way through. I sort of went in. This is one of the reasons why I've been trying to go into things with as little f- advanced knowledge as possible, because I don't
Mhm.
have really any expectations, and I'm
Yes.
at least for me, I'm able to judge it a little bit more like, okay, let me just watch the thing for itself,
Right.
um, and see how I react to it. And I enjoyed it a lot. Like it felt like a great like it felt like something very familiar, because of the Bruce Timm aspect of things, and Diedrich Bader, and those things. But it felt like I was cracking open a uh, trade paperback, retelling of that set of Batman lore,
Mhm.
um, told through this in this like 1940s sort of time period. Um, I loved the aesthetics of it. I loved the storytelling was I thought paced really well in a way that kept me. I binged this in like 2 binges,
Mhm.
and it kept me on the hook for like, all right, one more. And they were short enough that I was able to like power through them. I enjoyed it a lot, and like, yeah, I had a lot of fun. I would love. I'm glad. I know there's a season 2 coming. I would love them to do almost self-contained ones like this, like once a year. Like the way
Mm.
they put out a movie every
Right.
every 3 months or whatever it is.
Right.
I would love them to do a Batman series, 10 episodes, but they don't have to be like, and season 2 is a sequel, like it continues the story.
Mm.
I would then like them to go, let me now take me to a 1950s space age version of that, and now take me
Mm.
to
Yeah.
whatever, like take me to different
Yeah.
different versions of different stories.
And that also would, to me, make it stand out even more, because
Sure.
I do like what Tim said about the consequences, because that also plays into something I was reading after. I also, Frank, I went in unsullied almost like you as well, where
Mhm.
I didn't read a whole lot of stuff. So I didn't find this out until after that Bruce Tim.
Hold on. Maybe do say spoilers from here on out, just in case you say anything spoilery.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, let's say spoilers from now on. But
We all
I
liked it, right? Okay.
this is a yes, this is a behind the scenes thing. So I found out that Bruce Timm, originally they went to him and they said, "Hey, we want you to do a modern version of Batman the Animated Series," and he
Ah.
said, "I'm not interested." But I have some ideas and some scripts that were too dark for the 90s. We couldn't get away with that on television. Now you can. And so a lot of the things, like I think people dying and people, it's you don't have to be safe of GI Joe. If their plane gets shot down, they're not, oh, you have to show the parachute, make sure that guy survived. You can say that they died, or the Harley Quinn episode when the house went off the mountain, and or the mountain collapsed. Those guys are dead. Those guys are
Mhm.
not coming back. Although I was
Or
like, man,
Firebug for the
yes,
Firebug,
Firefly Festival.
Firebug.
yes.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
that matter. Just
yeah.
yeah,
So
that was obviously too dark for the 90s for kids
Yes.
show, but yeah. I think that was
I
actually the episode where I went, yes,
Mm.
mm,
yes.
yeah.
I'm in.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I like that. And with season 2, we can definitely get into that even more of those guys are not back. There's not Firebug is not committing crimes, and Batman doesn't have to shut him down again. It also feels a lot of like the Nolan universe, where it's
Definitely.
not necessarily, all right, this guy is going to last until the next movie. Although, what's his name? Scarecrow did. That was just kind of like a
Yeah,
side thing.
yeah.
Most of the villains, it's like Batman took them down. and we didn't see them again, or they got put away, or whatever it was. It felt more grounded, more realistic, and not like a 90s
Gonna come
cartoon. So
again, right? Yeah,
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 right.
right.
yeah, yeah. The
So
Are
Joker
you seeing
again?
Arkham
Yeah.
again for the
Right.
yeah.
13th time
So
this week? Yeah.
I like that aspect of it. But again, like I said, to me, I wanted something like to stand out, like Frank's idea of, hey, let's do a space age version of that. Let's do an Adam West version or whatever it is, like
Yeah, yeah.
something that makes it stand out to me of this felt like an evolution of Batman the Animated Series. It felt like a darker, grittier tone. Also felt like the Batman. Matt
Yes.
Reeves was one of the executive producers, and I felt a lot of the Batman influence in this.
Mhm.
I don't know what the J.J. Abrams influence was. He's one of the executive
Yeah.
producers, but I also, as I texted you
Good
guys,
job, guys. You go.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the whole
I
that was
mean,
it.
yeah.
he also did
And
a
there wasn't a
Spider-Man.
single lens flare in this whole cartoon.
He also did a He also did a Spider-Man story with his son that I didn't really love, and I was like, "What did J.J. Abrams add to this Spider-Man story?" But that's another story.
His
Um,
signature.
that's right. I liked like I said, all the people involved as far as storytellers, and especially the Ed Brubaker was another one that I saw his name in the credits, and I was like, "Whoa!" This
He was the head
immediately
writer. I think he was
adds.
the head writer in the writers
He
room.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed he wrote 3 episodes, and, like, every time I saw Ed Brubaker's name, I was like, "Yeah, yeah." But Greg Rucka was another name. He wrote
Mhm.
the Clayface episode, which was my
That was
favorite
a great episode.
That makes so
Mhm.
much sense. That was my favorite too.
of all the 10. And, what I text you guys back behind the scenes was, this feels very Gotham Central to me, and Gotham Central is written by Brubaker and Rucka, and it was all about the Gotham police. The whole thing was told, which is what the Gotham show should have been, was the
Mm.
Gotham Central comic, but I digress. It was told from the standpoint of the police, and Batman and Joker and everybody was in the background. You would see them enter from time to time, but you never switched over to their perspective.
Mhm.
This is told from Batman's perspective. We get him and Alfred and all this stuff.
It
But
kinda not really, though. I actually consider this a full ensemble show. Like, it starts with Batman's perspective, which is something else that it adds, which I think is something that we actually haven't experienced before. There are key episodes of different Batman shows that give us the police perspective. Actually, The Batman was really good, at that, especially in the first season. It kinda ditched it as the show went on, but the first season especially. But this one, like, there are whole episodes where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, right, Batman's in this show."
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and I really liked that. Like, I liked
mm.
really getting to know the supporting cast because by the end,
yes,
they didn't feel like they were supporting anymore. This is an ensemble piece, and
right.
everybody's an equal player in it, which is also something new for
Mm,
Batman animation, like really in this particular way.
Mhm.
So where it did have like to Vector's point, like it had shades of these other elements. I feel like there was enough different things to really make it feel new. Like even though it
mm,
had mostly Bruce Timm's pretty signature style attached to it, Batman was really the only character that I felt really close to Bruce Timm's designs. Like these other characters that show up like Harley or Gentleman Ghost, Onomatopoeia, Clayface, Firefly, Catwoman, they're all based on their early Bill Finger or Bob Kane
right.
Bill Finger.
Still
Um,
thinking.
Like
yeah,
like their
design.
golden age.
Yeah, and
Yes, yeah.
I really like that.
I
That's
did
right,
like that.
yeah.
Yep.
But even I
Um,
saw yeah, I agree with you, but they were Bruce Timmified versions of that still. Like they
Absolutely.
were still yeah, yeah.
Yes, they were, but I didn't feel like I was watching like a reskin of
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
Batman the Animated Series, despite the
yes,
fedoras or whatever,
Yes.
or
right.
No, I agree with that,
Fleischer's
yeah.
Lois Lane showing up twice.
Yes,
Yeah,
twice. I knew about
twice.
the one, I didn't know about the second one.
Yeah, yeah, that was exciting.
I was glad it wasn't like Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited. Those felt like reskins of the Batman art style, the blocky shoulders and everything.
Yes.
This feels like updated. It feels like this is a modern take on it, modern version of it. And I think all those things Tim mentioned were great. The Golden Age designs, the Batmobile, all those things.
Yes.
What did you guys think? I was curious because I had another conversation with another Tim, Super Tim, who has frequently appeared on this comic cooks. he was kind of taken aback by Batman calling Alfred Pennyworth, and by the end, we do get him calling him Alfred. Like there's you can see an arc and an evolution of his character. But throughout, did you guys feel weird? Because we've known Batman for so long of Alfred being his dad, we're raising him and him always calling him Alfred.
Yes, I have thoughts on this that
Yeah,
I would like to
I
share.
want to.
One, I haven't gone back to check, but I had the suspicion that early Batman comics has Batman calling him Pennyworth and not Alfred, um,
Mm,
in that way.
I haven't
But
looked yet.
if we're looking at this, it's not like it looks like the 40s, but it's kind of like actually the 40s. Like in that, like there are no computers
Yeah.
or cell phones or whatever. Like it's not like aesthetically like a mishmash like Batman the Animated Series where there are like there's artificial intelligence, but there's also
Yeah.
computers. I think this is like just supposed to be like kind of like legitimately the 40s.
I think you're right.
Yes. Yeah, right.
So
Because yeah, the
yeah.
radio that he has, and it's like
Mhm.
it's not the animated series. Actually, I was watching some special feature or something where they were talking about that, where they were saying they originally wanted the animated series to just be straight set in the 40s, but Fox or whoever it was like, no, it's got to be modern. So they had the Art Deco stylings, but they would have these modern computers and all these things. Like it just didn't feel like they were set in the 40s. This one, to Tim's pointing out, it feels like it is set in the 40s, and I think it's supposed to be specifically.
Right. So to continue on my thought process here. So I feel like that's a part of it, but further, if it's really set in the 40s, Bruce comes from generations of wealth, right? And so even though Alfred's the guy that raised him in the 40s, you're talking upstairs like an upstairs downstairs quality thing. So even
Mm,
though
that
Alfred
makes
raised him
sense.
after his parents died, like he's still the help. No matter
Right.
how much he cares about him, like he's Pennyworth because that's what you'd call like it's Mr. This or Mrs. That or
Mm,
anything. You don't call each other by their first names,
right.
especially like the older staff or heads of household or whatever else,
Yes.
the butler is Mr. So and so.
Right. Right.
So
Yep.
for Bruce to break away from that by the end of the first season and call him Alfred, he's breaking down a class barrier, not
Mm.
like this weird like holdover thing where he's like, you're just the help. Like in his head, that's part of it, but he's like moving out of that as he's seeing people struggle and helping those people in their struggles and everything. So the show doesn't say it, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Mm. That makes sense, and it's also adding to the year one aspect of it. Like it feels like this is his first year,
'Cause it
and
feels like
not
week 2, it's not even like week
yeah,
it's not even year
right.
1. He's like, "I've
Batman week two,
barely been outside."
right.
Yeah.
Um, whereas the animated series, it felt like he was established from the first
Yeah.
episode. Like it
Yeah.
felt like he had been Batman. So yeah, that also see, if they had kind of leaned into that, maybe even calling it year one or something with year one, that to me would have in my mind, like I would have looked at it as okay,
Mhm.
this is more setting
But
it
the but
apart
but
from.
then what happens when he's in year 2 and it's still called Batman Year 1? What do
But they
you
Yeah.
could
do?
change that. What if
Yeah.
they could change that? Because we're in streaming now. You could do that. You could change it and call it Batman Year 2.
Tales of
You
the Jedi,
could.
Tales of the Empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Like,
could.
Yeah, but they're no those I mean, those are not continuing stories. They're separate entities based on the
sure,
same format.
but it's kind of Tales of the Jedi season 2, right? Like it's
Right, right,
kind
right,
of
right.
in a
I
way what
understand,
it
yeah.
Yeah.
is.
I mean, I guess logically, an audience member could follow, "Oh, it's Batman Year 1 and then it's Batman Year 2," because I know how numbers work, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, it wouldn't be that hard, but as soon as you call it Batman Year 1, you got a whole conglomerate of people going, "Well, that's not Year 1, that's not that's not the book
Yeah.
I read," and then by the time
Right,
you get to Year 2,
right.
they're like, "Where's the Reaper, my favorite character?" Like, like, of all
Yeah.
time,
Right.
"This art doesn't
Yeah.
resemble Todd McFarlane's?" Yeah, so call it Cape
Yeah.
Crusader and make nobody happy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
his
exactly.
tape's not nearly long enough for him. He didn't go to the Middle East once.
He did
Like, he's not a crusader. Like,
Yeah.
he
I don't know.
didn't crusade at all.
Not a single one.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I do like that name, although it's just it's just playing on. We know that's one of his most famous nicknames, and
Sure.
I thought that was going to be the next movie title after the Batman. I
Mm.
thought it was going to be Cape Crusader, but that's all marketing stuff.
Honestly, if they were smart, the next Batman movie is just called Batman.
Ooh,
And just like
drop
Yeah.
the.
do the thing with that Superman's doing and just kind of keep it rolling.
Mm,
Because you can refer to the other ones, Batman 66, because that first Batman movie with Adam West is just Batman.
It's true.
right, right.
And there's another Batman movie in 1989. No one got confused.
That's
Like,
right.
very true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like after a certain amount of time, you can just recall things the same name.
Batman 25, Batman 26, what do you know? Give it
Yeah.
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 That's what we would
Yeah.
call it. That's what we would call it.
Right.
But I also loved the noir aspects of it, and that's again to me, that's the Brubaker and Greg
Mhm.
Rucka influence because they are masters of noir stuff, and
Timm. I mean, that's obviously
Bruce
what,
Timm too.
you know,
Yeah,
from
agree.
the original,
yeah, all of them
Um,
really.
I love. I actually would really like to see a lot of more behind the scenes stuff. I'd like to see like interviews and stuff just to see who's doing what and parsing out the stuff. But and just hearing the creators talk, I always love those type of things. But I do think you can feel these presences and these influences, but with the exception of JJ, you can feel these guys dipping their toes in and putting their touches on it. So I'm again at the end of the season looking back on it, I feel a lot better than I did as I was going through it because I was just holding it up to that standard of the animated series where I was like, man, I'm liking this, but I don't like this as much as I like the animated series. So each episode that was my own personal thing that I was taking into each one. And so by the end of it, I also again, if we had more episodes, like we had maybe 20, 25 episodes like we did back in the day, maybe I would have gotten that out of my mouth, like that taste out of my mouth. Because 10 is so short, it's like you're just getting into it and you're just getting a feel for what this show is. So to me, by the time I got to the last episode, I was like, okay, now I feel confident and I feel like I know what they're going for. And the next season, if they just continue on with this and what is their take on the Joker, that's going to be interesting to me to see how they play that. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Could you figure out who his voice was at the end? Have they released the voice actor?
I haven't seen anything. Let me see if I can Google it real quick. Do I get a Google?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
gets a look up.
Yeah,
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
gets one.
Um,
It felt like it was somebody familiar. Like I felt like I recognized it, but couldn't put my finger on
I
it.
agree.
Right?
I like pinged the voice, but it wasn't enough for me
Yeah.
to know like single handedly which villain adaptation worked best for you. And which one? And were there any that didn't really work for you? Was there something missing from any? So there is Penguin, which is a gender bent Oswalda.
Yes, that was
Clay-
interesting.
Clayface, Catwoman, Firefly, Firebug, whatever you want to call it. Harley, Gentleman Ghost, Onomatopoeia, the weird carnival thing,
Yep.
with all the Robins, all the
Oh
kids.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Arguably
yeah.
the
I
most
wanna-
And Stephanie
talk-
Brown.
I want to talk about each one of these. Each one of these, as you're bringing them up, I was like, man, I got thoughts on each one
Well,
of
it's
these.
okay.
Yeah,
We'll go back to the episode one, and then
Yeah.
Two Face. You know,
Yes.
in
mine.
episode
Well, I love Dietrich Bader. I love Dietrich Bader ever since Batman Brave and the Bold. Like anytime I hear his voice, I just immediately get happy. So even when he's playing a bad guy, even when he's playing a dirt bag, I still root for him. So that he had a little soft spot for me on that side of it. But the reason why the Clayface episode is my favorite is I felt like they did him in such a great way, and the golden age version of Clayface, not like the one we're used to
Mm-hmm.
from the animated series. And I just thought that one was a perfect noir episode, like from start to finish. So I that was my favorite villain from every episode.
Yeah,
That was definitely a standout episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
think Clayface might have been my favorite too. I think Harvey exists in a slightly different
Kind of a different
because
category.
he's not a one and done. Like
Right.
it's his
It's like
story, it's his
yeah.
arc,
An arc. Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Through
Yeah.
the course. I did like the Two-Face in this, like, it didn't it was very Dark Knight in its execution,
Mhm.
like, he never felt like he had 2 personalities or anything like that. Like, he does, like, but it's more like this, like, an inner monologue, than anything else, like, you know, the one that really didn't work for me and I wanted it to was Onomatopoeia. Um,
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
it might
Yeah.
have been the voice acting, it might have been the execution of the onomatopoeia itself, but it just kinda was like it kinda fell flat. I liked the design,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
but I
Yes.
didn't yeah, but the villain itself didn't really do it for
Just
me.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably the
100%. That
Gentleman
was
Ghost was also kinda just okay.
I really liked that episode. I don't
Yeah.
maybe it's 'cause I like ghosts
Yeah,
and
you d yeah,
Mm.
that
the
was right
American
up your alley,
Revolution,
though.
like, I don't know,
That
like
was that's
it
very
had
Headless
all the
Horseman,
things that
like
I liked about it, and yeah, and actually, you know what I
and the
really liked?
costumes were great.
They were great. I really liked his design. Um, shut up. No, actually what I really like about that episode is I really thought it was gonna be like a Scooby Doo, and then they like took the mask off and like or the phosphorus paint, he like paints his horse, whatever. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
legitimate ghost. And I
Yep.
was like, they actually like it took forever for Batman the Animated Series to go in that direction. Like everything was like as real quote unquote as they could get, like
Grounded, yeah.
in a weird way. Until like Clayface could like make an axe out of, his hand or whatever. Like that like didn't matter, but like I didn't expect the show to go in that direction, and they were like, "No, it's a ghost," because It's just a pulp on a streaming service.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I actually really I really liked it for that reason.
It really feels like a 10-issue limited, series that is sort of set in the 40s. Like, it does feel like a pulpy
Mhm.
take like, I feel like this is sort of it feels like it leapt off the page in sort of a golden age homage.
I also really like Harley's origin being completely tethered from the Joker.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought that was
Yeah.
a
Untethered,
little
not tethered, untethered.
untethered from the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought that was really an interesting. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I was sort of like,
Right.
oh, okay. Well, they teased the Joker earlier, so this must be where he comes in, right? Because you can't have Harley without the Joker.
Right.
We're really doing Harley without the Joker.
Yeah.
So
It's always interesting when they play with our expectations because we've been watching this since, the 90s. We've that Harley exists because of that show, the
yeah,
original Batman the Animated Series, and we we can't unassociate those two in our minds until this comes along. It's like, oh, okay, this is a different version. This is almost like an alternate Earth. What would you have thought if this was the original story? And yeah, I did think that was interesting. I still don't know if I like it better. I just I like that it's something different and it's not the same thing told over and over again because I was thinking about the animated movies that we've gotten that
mhm.
are the exact literal adaptations of the stories, a lot of these, and they haven't turned out very well, I don't think. Um,
Very few of them are great.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, the
and
Dark
it
Knight
just
Returns
makes me
is
think,
very good. The Batman Superman
yeah.
Public Enemies is good.
Oh yes, yes. No, that
That
that is
one, oh
fantastic.
yes, that was
That's my
excellent.
favorite, probably.
Year
It
One
just
is
I feel
good.
like a lot of them are.
New Frontier's good.
Yeah, those are some of the earlier ones.
The very
Yeah,
early
it's
ones,
true.
yeah,
The
Yeah, these ones
later
I'm
you
thinking
go, the
about.
further away. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking about Hush.
yeah, yeah.
What was the recent
Long
the
Halloween.
one? Yeah, Long Halloween. A lot of them are just like, why are they? They're either way too faithful and there's nothing different. And I'm like, this is boring because I can just read the comic, or they make a change like Hush, which spoilers if you haven't seen it or if you haven't read Hush.
not a spoiler. Just don't watch it.
Yeah, well, that's 100%. Please do not read the comic instead. But they change who Hush is. They change the identity. It's like that's the entire thing that's the whole story is who is Hush. It's a mystery. And you're
Right.
changing the mystery. And then I don't think the person that they changed it to was very interesting to me. I don't think the way that they did it.
I think that makes more sense because you just said that they do a direct adaptation and you know everything, so it's boring. So then when something does change, you're like, well, this is stupid. So
But if they do it well, if they did it
I
like
agree.
Yeah.
an
The Hush,
amazing,
I don't think
like
was
they
done.
blow my mind, and I'm like, this is better than the original. But what they did with it, it was just this is not interesting to me. Um, and then what was the Batman sleeping with Barbara?
Oh, the Killing Joke.
man,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Killing
Killing
Joke. Yeah,
Joke.
yeah.
Yeah.
That one is my least favorite. Like I don't think I'll ever watch that one again. But I think about all those. That was leaving a bad taste in my mouth. And this version, I'm like, this is like, I think the way that you do, not 100% faithful, but there are things they changed Harley's origin. They changed some of these things. And yeah, this is interesting. This is a different take on it. And I'm rolling with it. And I'm like, yeah, modernizing it a little bit. But to go back to the onomatopoeia real quick, I loved that character when Kevin Smith created him, introduced him. It is a great gag, and like his hook is great. His theme is
Mhm.
great. Maybe it just works better on the page in your mind, filling in
The sound.
the sound effects versus actually hearing it. It almost came across as kind of corny to me. And I'm like, ugh, maybe that doesn't work as well as I thought it would. Like, let's say if we
Onomatopoeia
saw that. Okay.
appeared. Oh, Superman and Lois. They did
Oh,
Onomatopoeia.
I haven't
Superman
seen
and
that one.
Lois.
Yeah.
Does it, is it a good, like, does it sound good?
I agree with you that it works better on the page.
Hmm.
I think it is
Yeah.
it is an idea that is probably should stay on the page.
Hmm. Yeah. So I love the design. Like, it looks great. But yeah, just maybe the voice acting wasn't, maybe that was another thing. It just didn't add to it. But yeah, Tim, I couldn't get behind that onomatopoeia episode. It was just, ooh.
Yeah, the rest of it with the cops and everything was fine. Like I didn't mind
Yeah.
that part of it. Like I thought that was good. The Corrigan twist I actually enjoyed. I
Ooh,
didn't see it
yeah.
coming. Like
Yeah, that
I
was
Yep.
cool. I
Yep.
like
Yep.
that.
that was good. Actually, cops. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about corrupt Bullock? I was talking about this with my friend
Ooh.
Bobby because in the
Ooh.
comics, Bullock was corrupt at one point, and and did a turnaround, and he wasn't allowed to be corrupt in the Batman the Animated Series, so they just made him grumpy, basically. And
Yeah.
so you had that like reek of the guy that would be but isn't. In this, they just kind of went fully corrupt, like Flash level corrupt. I really
Mm,
like it because it gives the opportunity for the character to do like a turnaround at some
mm,
particular point, like like to choose Gordon over Flash or to choose Montoya over Flash or whatever. And also to me, it felt like it elevated Montoya a little bit, like because it gave her more of this like lone wolf quality,
Sure.
like it's or
which
for
that
basically her and Gordon.
right, that felt like the Gordon role of, year 1 almost, and, like,
Yeah.
she didn't have anyone else, like you said, and I I like that, I like that aspect of it. Bullock, it John DiMaggio is another one of my all-time favorite voice actors, and he's kinda like Dietrich Bader where he's whether he's good or bad, I love him,
Mhm.
and he is outside of Mark Hamill, he is my favorite Joker of all time
Mm.
He's
with
a great
the
joke.
Under the Hood
Mm.
performance, and hearing him as Bullock, I was just like, "Oh, he's great. Yeah, Bullock. Yeah." So, it's like I still kinda saw him as a good guy in my
Yeah.
head because I love his voice so much, but, um, yeah, it's kinda weird. It just feels kinda weird because I just have that animated series Bullock in my head. He's like the Kevin Conroy, like the attachment to Kevin Conroy to Batman was like the animated series to Bullock to me is like that version is always in my head. So the grumpy version of Bullock is always something that I enjoy. So yeah, I'm kind of two minds on this one. Like I'm like I kind of like it, but then I kind of don't. I'm half and half on it.
Mhm. Frank.
I don't have a strong opinion on Harvey Bullock to begin with, so I was sort of like, "Oh, this is a cool way to take, like basically take the name and go in a
Mm,
different direction," and I kinda liked that. I guess I'm just not I'm not attached to the character. It's a very it's like I'm not attached to, to translate it into a language that I understand. I'm not attached to Steve Lombard either, you know what I mean? Like, all right, so
mm.
You're not?
not particularly, no.
Dang.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Man,
Um, we
uh,
haven't really talked about Hamish Linklater
I
as
was
Batman
just
at all. Like, and so
I was just about to say he was one of my disappointments for this show. He might be my lowest on the totem pole of everything. It just felt like a boring performance to me. It was one note. It was always the same, monotone. Obviously, he's doing that on purpose. He's doing the voice, but I'm just so used to Kevin Conroy being able to play two different characters and not do the Batman voice. Like, he's so far to me, Kevin Conroy's been the only one that's been able to pull that off. Every actor that I've seen outside of that has always tried to do the Batman voice. Even going back to Michael Keaton. Adam West. I would say Adam West was the other one that he didn't put on a voice.
No,
But
not at all.
Bruce Greenwood didn't
oh
really put on a
yes,
voice, but that's mostly because that's just what Bruce Greenwood already sounded like.
he's
Yeah,
my
that's right.
second.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
I was actually having a conversation about this outside. If you don't have Kevin Conroy, give me Bruce Greenwood. He is my second favorite. Can you tell I like Under the Red Hood? That was my favorite DC
It's a good
animated
one.
movie that they
It's a good
ever
one.
did. Man, I love that movie. But yeah, Bruce Greenwood was fantastic.
He was
Another
great.
when you listen to Batman's voice, like it felt like there was an authority to it. And I don't know if maybe they're going for, because this is his first year, it's just he hasn't found his voice yet.
I think the husky voice is I think honestly I've talked about this before, but I think that the Dark Knight trilogy like saved and ruined Batman in
Mhm.
media at the same time
Yeah,
because
I
like
can see that.
Christian Bale did a thing and everyone was like, well, that's the voice now, that's what it is. And so like because like other actors have like done kind of like Michael Keaton did a husky voice and whatever, but like basically everybody has tried to do what the Dark Knight did in different various aspects of it since then. And so I'm just kind of used to it. So I wasn't like enthralled by the performance, but I thought his Bruce Wayne was better than his Batman for the same reason
Mm.
that like I felt like I liked the design of Bruce Wayne. I felt that like the voice fit the body of the character and how he felt like hasn't he does have a Bruce Wayne and a Batman, but like his Bruce when he's not being the socialite is basically just Batman. Like,
Yeah.
but he does have three distinct, but his husky Batman, I think, is just kind of like that's what everybody does now.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and
It's just we've
so
heard it so many times. It just feels like the same. It just
it
feels
seems like
like
the same. But I do
yeah.
feel like if you did something different, like if you tried to be Kevin Conroy, I guess, then you're not playing the part like you would play the part. You're playing it like Kevin would try to play the part, and it doesn't feel authentic, I guess, that way. But I feel like the husky voice, what you're saying is that the husky voice doesn't allow for a range of emotion in
Yeah.
which, like, the lowering of the timber, like that, that Kevin Conroy's do, that did allow him a range of emotion. That doing this is not gonna,
Right.
Yes.
I've
Right.
got to stop Harley or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels to me like a combination of like they're 100% influenced by Christian Bale. No
Mhm.
question.
Mhm.
But it's almost like they feel like doing that is as good as the Kevin Conroy
Mm.
deep voice. And it's not the same. I
Mhm.
agree with what you just said, Tim. Like it's not, there is a difference and you can't sort of substitute one for the other. It doesn't give the same emotional depth to it that it's like,
No.
okay, when I'm Bruce, I'm up here, but when I'm Batman, I'm down here.
Right.
But
'Cause
it's
even
when I'm
in the
donkey,
comics,
it's
they're
a
like
little different.
right, even in the comics, they're like, Batman's voice is raspy, like, everybody says it, like, that's, like, when they talk about it, so, like, technically, that's supposed to be the voice, but they've only started saying that after The Dark Knight. I distinctly remember reading Grant Morrison's beginning of the run on his Batman arc, like, the first one with the, Batman and Son,
Mhm.
and Alfred is like, "You know that raspy Batman voice you do? You're doing it all the time. Like, why are you telling me what Batman's supposed to sound like? Just like
Right.
let me have it up here. Um, but
Yeah.
I like Hamish Linklater a lot. Like he's a really good actor. I've liked him in everything that I've seen him in, but it was fine. It didn't take me out of it. like, but I wasn't like, "You're the best performance in here."
Mm-hmm.
I think that actually might go to other people.
I think it says a lot that I didn't even think about his performance.
Right. Yeah.
In some ways, that's good.
In some ways, that is like it's also like in a worse show, he would be the best thing in it, but in a great show, he's just sort of like
There.
I don't think that far down the stack because the show is
Right.
so great. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
What I do appreciate about it being different is that Batman's design is so close to the one that I'm used to seeing with Kevin Conroy's voice, is
Uh-huh.
that, like,
Mm.
it like, I didn't feel like I was listening to, an impersonator, which would have distracted me a lot, and the
Yeah.
husky, like, "Hey, we're gonna meet in a back foggy alley," fits the mood and the tone of the real noir that they're going for.
Right. Right.
So, I do I can get on board with all of it because of the show that it's telling, but if you took that voice and put him somewhere else, I wouldn't be as enthralled.
Yeah. I guess I just don't like the the
It sounds
choice
like
of
you're
the
getting
casting director.
older and you only like stuff from your childhood. I think that's what
No,
it's
that's
saying.
not true. That's not true.
That's
I
that's
liked
impossible.
I liked Battinson, Robert Battinson's. I liked his was
His husky
fine. I
voice, yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have a problem with his, but yeah, I just don't know what specifically they were when they saw the casting, they're like, "Okay, yeah, this is perfect for this show," because it should be, I think, one of the best parts of the show because it's Batman, the Cape Crusade, Cape Crusade. It's in the name. He's one of the main focuses. So you know, his and I'm not saying that like the voice should be the focus. I'm saying the performance should stand out to me as wow, that was one of the best Batmans I've ever heard. That was one of the best Batman performances. And I don't come away thinking that. At the end of the day, I'm not, oh man, Bruce Greenwood, I came in as a Kevin Conroy fan. And after I watched Under the Red Hood, I was like, oh, someone else can actually be Batman. And same thing with Dietrich Bader. When I watched Brave and the Bold, that was one of the first things I was like, this is number one, the art style. I was like, oh, this is for kids. Dietrich Bader doesn't sound like Kevin Conroy to me. I got completely flipped on that show. Now it's one of my favorite of all time. And I will always go to bat for that show. But that's just another example of I think if you cast the right voice and he's giving the right performance, and his is not like he's just it's Diedrich Bader's voice, but it's just a little bit lower. He's not whispering and he's not trying to do it, but you can tell it's a performance. It's an actor doing a performance. So yeah, all that to say, I think that was one of my least favorite elements about this show was um Linklater's performance. That was the one of the lower tiers for me.
Mm.
I liked his Bruce. I will say that I liked his Bruce a lot.
It
Uh,
is, yeah. Actually, this is to kind of move off into other voices that we really like, but I really like Christina Ricci's Catwoman.
yes,
Her Selena
Yeah.
Kyle, I thought
Yeah.
she was great. Because not everybody's a voice actor. So like sometimes
Right.
when you take a
Right.
screen actor and you're like, oh, you can do voice acting. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But to me that one really paid. That one really paid off. I thought she was great. Um, but Mini Driver's Oswalda didn't work for me the way I wanted it to. It
didn't
didn't.
realize that one was Mini Driver.
Mm.
I like Minnie
Hmm.
Driver a lot.
I do.
She's a good actress. She's a good voice actress. Jane from Tarzan. Like whatever.
Mhm.
But
Right, right.
I just don't. I don't know. I just like maybe it just didn't feel like the Penguin to me. It felt like
Yeah.
it could have been another character. So
Yeah. I agree with that. It's and that's definitely us, coming in with our preconceived notions of who is the penguin, right? Like what
Yes.
is the penguin? I don't think it's necessarily tied to the gender, but seeing it now as reversed, I don't think that added anything to it. I don't think that was like this is a better penguin because it's female. Um, I don't yeah, I just don't know what that specifically added. It just seemed also I thought I had a little bit of a strange feeling about the Gordons. And the only reason why is because Barbara has red hair. and it looks like the way that they're painting the skin tones, they're both supposed to be African American in this, and that's fine. But why does she have red hair? It just seems that like they're trying to make her look like both. Like it just seems kind
Oh,
of
for
weird
sure.
to me.
She's definitely trying. They're definitely. It's best of two worlds. Like they're
It's
trying to
Yeah.
have her be both.
kind of
But they're,
ambiguous.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they're all. I mean, they're definitely black. That was kind of like it wasn't like a. To me, that wasn't like a question or
Mhm.
anything.
Agreed.
But I feel like the hair dye is a thing, and she's got red hair, and this show's got half a guy's face melted off, and a guy that can change his clothes. Like if she wants red hair, she can have it. Like it's just Alfred's fat. Like any it doesn't matter. Like to me, like Harley's Asian, right? Like that's
True.
like let
Flass
them
also. They
Flass,
yeah,
Flass
yeah.
is black in this.
yeah, let them cook. Yeah, they're just doing something different. Like um yeah
Oh, and
I
Jamie
did
Chung was Harley Quinn. I thought she did a great job.
I thought she did a great job too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a totally different take on Harley, and
Yes.
I really liked it. Uh, I kind of like that she didn't feel like she was doing anything bad. Like she was just like,
Right.
I
Right.
gotta get out of here
Right.
for a while because people don't
Right.
agree with me, but
Yes.
I know I'm right. Like I liked that take on her.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that as well.
And it
Yeah.
was that mixture between she's not cackling, laughing, crazy, Jokerized Harley, and she's not Harleen Quinzel before she met Joker, and she's just supposed to be a straight psychiatrist. I think they have her right in the middle, right in between, because you can see obviously the crazy in her and the things that she's doing behind the scenes. But she also feels like when that therapy session with Bruce, she feels like a psychiatrist. She feels like she's genuinely reading him and saying, "Hey, this is you're walled off, and you're these are all the things that you're doing." So I believe that that she could be both instead of it's either one or the other, and without being tied to the Joker. Like all of this stuff is interesting to me.
You reminded me of something. You pinged my memory. That I don't know if this is a compliment or not, but she actually reminds me a lot of Mia Sarah's Harley from Birds of Prey, the one
Oh,
season
yes.
Miles Millar and
I
Alfred
think I only saw the
spin-off.
pilot of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Harley was the main villain in the first season, and she's
Oh.
really not like technically they just say she's the Joker's girlfriend, like because it was way before they like had a split in the comics or anything.
Mm.
But like the
Right, right,
Joker's
right.
dead in the show, and she's just but she's like straight laced, like homicidal, like
Mm.
quiet the version of
Yeah.
Harley,
Right.
and like
Right.
she can get a little kooky, but not she's much more closer to this than she was to any version, and I've not really thought about that in so long, but I was like, wow, I have seen that something like that similar before.
Mm.
Crazy how much content there is out there
Oh,
of this
yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
like the forgotten Harley Quinn of the world, like people like Margot Robbie's first time player in live action. Not true. Mia Sarah got
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
13 episodes, baby.
It's true.
It is
It's true.
crazy to see where comic book stuff is today versus man, I was watching something the other day and I can't remember what it was, but it was like I remember when this was the only thing that I could, you know, grab onto and say, this is a comic book thing that I'm watching live action. And to think now there's so many. Like there's the Suicide Squad anime that came out on Max that I haven't heard anyone talking about, but it's like, yeah, there's a Suicide Squad anime. Like there's so much stuff coming out right now
You just can't
that
keep up with all of it,
yeah, that's
which is
right.
Yep.
good. But my perpetual example of this is the only thing is David Hasselhoff's Nick Fury. That's like my go-to. Like this was it. This was
I
all we
remember
had,
that.
and
Yes.
you were just like, okay,
I
Yes.
this
guess.
is gonna
Yeah.
get. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Man, we've
It's
come a
this or
long
nothing.
way.
Like
yeah, gotta watch it all. Otherwise, they won't make anything
right,
anymore.
exactly.
Yes. I used to
Watching
think that way.
yes, yeah. Watching Deadpool, really brought that back. Right, made me
Mm.
remember what it was like in the early all the references to Days Gone By, Days of Future Past, if you will, really made me made me remember what it was like and like man, how far we've come.
Oh yeah. Man. Man.
Is there anything you guys want to say final about Batman the Crusader?
I wasn't able to find out the Joker. I don't think they've revealed his voice, but yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2. There's a perfect setup for this of Batman's like slow evolution out at the end with Alfred and then the Joker. It's also very similar to the Batman's Joker of just kind of teasing him. He's there, he's going to be I think a bigger player coming down the road, but I think they're in great hands, especially if they keep doing what they've been doing with the noir stuff and having consequences like Tim said, not okay, this guy is going to live forever. There's no there's no consequence of what can happen to people. There's actually something is going there's no stakes, I should say. There's actual stakes, and this makes this interesting. This makes it um worthy of, hey, this person can die, this person can get hurt. So I'm really looking forward to the next season actually.
When Harvey Dent takes a bullet for Barbara Gordon, like that is no one is safe. No one is safe.
Yes, 100%.
No,
Watch out, Alfred. Careful.
Coming for you. I just had a thought, but it didn't pan out. I was curious because Arkham Asylum looks like a pleasant place.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
Mm.
right.
like in this, I like that they kind of it wasn't like it didn't actually fit the gothic noir thing. They was just like a straight this is a nice building. Look at it.
Yeah.
But I was curious if it resembled um like
The
something
Golden
else
Age version or something.
from something else from another thing. But I for whatever reason I thought maybe it resembled the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest
Oh.
hospital, but it does not. So
Oh.
not even close.
Actually, you know what? I forgot. As you mentioned all the Robbins episode, which
Oh yeah.
that kind of made me upset. I think that was almost guaranteeing that we're not going to get Robin moving forward. It was like, hey guys, just to please the fans, here's an Easter egg of every Robin. Here's all of them in this one episode, and we're not going to do a proper Robin going forward. I think that's the way I felt. I was watching it.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
I'd
you're
agree
right.
with
It's
that.
like and take Batgirl off the table too while we're at it.
Nope,
Mm.
I disagree with that. I think you are going to get a
Oh.
Batgirl.
Ooh.
I think that they plant enough seeds on how she's fed up with the way that the system works and her edging closer to working with Batman, and she freaking wears purple this entire time. There's no the whole
Oh,
Yeah, I noticed wearing purple, but I
maybe.
just thought that was a
yeah, like a nice
an
little
homage.
Easter
But
egg
you
or whatever homage.
make a good point.
Yeah, I think that she gets fed up with how it all works so much that she's gonna end up doing a Batgirl thing. And I really wouldn't mind that at all. I did like as an Easter egg that Dick Grayson is wearing the same outfit he's wearing as the flashback Dick Grayson for Batman the Animated Series. Is
Oh, nice.
the red sweater and whatever. Like he basically looked exactly the same, just kind of shorter. It was like comic accurate Dick Grayson. He's like the really short.
Not to scale.
Not to scale. Yeah. So I didn't mind them all being there because you said back to you said you're like, oh no, they're not gonna do Robin.
Yeah, I
so,
agree. And I'm okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that.
I'm fine with that. That doesn't really bother me. Like let them tell the story they want to tell, and then maybe if Dick Grayson gets involved in that somehow, or he creates maybe they all become Robins, like they're kind of like the Newsboy Legion, where they're out in the streets hearing stuff as part of
not as a
network
costumed.
of
Right,
so
right.
they're the Robins,
Yeah.
but they're not costumed kids fighting. I feel
I
like
can
in
see
this
that.
world, costume kids don't. I mean, Batman's dressed up or whatever, but costume kids, it's not an adventure; it's danger.
Right.
Right.
Right. This version, yeah.
This
I get it.
version, so I
Yeah.
might be a little uncomfortable with that. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Batman stares at the map of Gotham City every episode.
Yeah.
Like when he's in the Batcave, he's staring at that
Yep.
board. That's
Yeah.
all he does.
Yep.
Right.
And Alfred's shuffling the paperwork,
Right.
taking stuff down, doing the things.
In that way, it reminded me of Batman 66. Like that board,
yes,
that
yeah.
glass, board you could see through really
I
reminded me
think
of
that was an homage.
I think so, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, Frank, you have anything else you want to add?
No. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I liked it a lot, and I was really surprised with how much I enjoyed it and how much I was like glued to the screen. And yeah, give me more of these. Give me more of these. I love these. Like, do it sort of. I loved the sort of. I know that it is now going to have a second season, but I actually loved the feeling of like, oh, this is a one off. Like I said before, it felt like a trade. It felt like reading a trade paperback of a like contained story. That I kind of enjoyed it for that reason. Not that I won't enjoy season 2 of it. I absolutely will. But I enjoyed that aspect of it a lot, and just sort of feeling like here is a pretty well contained story over 10 episodes. Let's get into it and enjoy it. I liked it a lot.
Are there any villains you'd like to see pop up in season 2? We got a couple that were like mentioned here, or like Killer Croc was in the circus episode, though they don't, they call him Wayland, and he looks more like Brian Azzarello's version, where
Yeah, right.
from the Joker graphic
Right.
novel.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anybody that you guys would like to see?
I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'd like if they surprised me, because that was a lot of these. I was like, oh, they're using this person. Oh, they're using this person. Onomatopoeia, I knew they had advertised ahead of time, but pretty much everyone else, I was like surprised by. I would like to go in that way again of like just as I'm watching it, oh, that person, oh, that person. Because Batman's rogues gallery obviously is the best in comics. So there's so many that they could pull from, so many golden age people, and I want to see if they're gonna do some of the more like the 50s Condiment King or Clock
Mm.
King or Kite Man. Let's get Kite Man in here. Yeah, there's my answer. Kite Man.
No,
Professor Pig.
Ooh.
I think he was that he already was teased, right? There's the guy that lost
Oh,
his
was
pig
he?
mask in Arkham. Yeah, or
Oh,
his
I
little
missed
pig
that.
Oh,
boy
I
or
think I missed
whatever.
that.
Yeah, when Barbara goes to see
Oh, I gotta rewatch
one of
that.
the guys. I can't remember what episode it was.
I totally missed
Okay.
that. Huh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
need to
sure
rewatch that.
he was in there. Um,
I
I
love
would love to
Pig.
see. I always love Clock. I'm a big Clock King fan. I love Clock King. So I
Mm-hmm.
would like to. I would like to see that. Um, I love seeing Rupert Thorne. I like that they use Rupert Thorne,
Oh
instead
yeah.
of the Falcones.
Instead of the Falcons, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. I had somebody that I wanted to see in it. It totally. Oh, I'd like to see a new version of Scarecrow. I'd like to
Yeah.
see
Oh, yeah, that would be
what they
good.
would do
Yeah.
here. I like
Mm-hmm.
that noir flavor. Wouldn't
Yeah.
mind Black Mask.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yep.
something
Mm.
that Bruce Timm touched upon
Yep.
um earlier. And Undergrad, like I talked about Grant Morrison before, I wouldn't mind seeing the Black Glove. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul. Actually,
Yes.
I'm always a
Yep.
Ra's
Yeah,
al Ghul.
Rachel Gould was yes.
Yeah.
All of those. Yes. All of the above.
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens. Vector, where can people find you?
On YouTube at This Comic Cooks for comic books, at Trust in the Force for Star Wars, and then everywhere else on social media at Vactorverse.
Very good. Frank, where can people find the two of us?
Beerwithgeeks.com. You can rate and review us in any podcast app you like. You can follow or subscribe in any podcast app you like, and you can help us out at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. I would say that was probably the best place to find us, Tim.
Excellent.
Or
Gentlemen,
at the bottom of a glass of beer.
potentially. Gentlemen, it is always an absolute pleasure to talk to the both of you. I hope to see you both again soon. But until next time, cheers.
Cheers.